everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a bit of an art challenge, which I like to call the 1 layer digital art challenge. Now, with digital art, you have a lot of tools and stuff that you are able to use, and one of those tools is layers. And basically this makes things a lot easier for you to be able to sketch and then ink and then do the colors and all of that. However, with this challenge I can't use layers at all, so I basically just have to draw the whole thing on 1 layer. And yeah, this was actually pretty fun to do. I kind of took it in the way that I would an acrylic painting, especially since you can't really, keep your sketch. You have to just sort of cover it up, and yeah, you sort of have to try and preserve parts that you're going to draw over the top of later. So yeah, it was pretty interesting to try out. Now for this drawing I am going to be using my iPad Pro and a lovely app called Procreate, as you can see right now. Procreate is a great app. I have a lot of fun drawing in it, and it's just very intuitive, especially with my new Apple Pencil as well. I feel like they're sort of just like a match made in heaven with Procreate and the iPad. Yeah, I really do recommend this if you do have an iPad, because I just love drawing in it so much. Now, for the idea behind this drawing, I kind of like to have a little bit of a story behind some of my artwork. Sometimes I find that it makes me sort of like the artwork more, and it gets me a little bit more inspired to draw something when I sort of like add a little bit of a story to go onto it. This doesn't always end up intentional. Sometimes when I'm drawing something, I just start to think, hey, what's this person like? What are they doing? Why are they there? Etc. So the story behind this artwork is basically there is a young boy here, as you can see, with his pet dog, and they are playing in a garden. Now it's obviously getting a little bit late. As you can see, the sky, I am drawing it yellow, so it's sort of a sunset kind of thing. So basically his mum is calling him to come inside and have dinner, and this kid, he's a little bit of a rascal. He's a little bit naughty sometimes, and he does not want to come inside. He's having a lot of fun outside, so he decided that he is not going to go inside, and instead he's going to play in the garden bed with his dog. Yeah, and trample some of the flowers in the garden bed. So he's definitely not allowed to play in this garden bed, because his mother loves to grow flowers and stuff like that. So when she finds out about this, she's going to be a little bit cross with him, but it's alright. And yeah, so that's the story behind it a little bit. I had a lot of fun sort of coming up with that cute little storyline, I guess. I don't know, sometimes my imagination sort of just takes me away, and I just think of these little scenarios and I can't help but talk about them. But anyways, back to the art now, because I have to actually talk about what I'm doing and why. Now realistically, I wanted to sort of work at this in layers, except on the same layer, because I can only use 1 layer in this video. But I tried to sort of draw each area, the furthest back ones first. So I did that sort of sky and the tree, and then after that I did the leaves on top of the tree, and then as you're sort of coming towards the foreground, I have this big bush here with lots of leaves on it. And after that I work on the characters, and then after that I work on the sort of foreground, the part that's sort of in front of them as well. And yeah, I had a lot of fun experimenting with the style of this artwork, because as you can see, it's a little bit of a different style sometimes, especially with digital art, because I feel like I haven't got like a specific style down pat for my digital art, because I don't do it too often. So I actually wanted to sort of experiment with sort of like painterly style. Now I really like the look of digital art when some of the brush strokes are a bit raw, and you can sort of like, you can see that there's brush strokes but it's intentional, and I really love that look. And I feel like, I don't know, just that sort of rough, sketchy, sort of painterly feel is just really nice. And kind of satisfying. So I definitely wanted to try and incorporate that into my art. Now, this program that I have called Procreate has a lot of brushes. It has an array of so many brushes that I can use. I used a mixture of the paint brushes and some of the oil paint brushes and a bit of the charcoal-y sort of brushes and the round brush as well. And I also used the old brush because it sort of has a bit of a texture to it. But yeah, I wanted to definitely balance out the style. Now, there's a lot of detail and sort of rough shading in the background, so I wanted some parts to be a little bit more sort of simple. So of course I did his face with a sort of simple style, and I really like this sort of contrast between that very textured, almost realistic but not really hair, and the very simply shaded skin on his face. I think it looks kind of cool and interesting in a way, because as your eye sort of follows along the page, there's so many different sort of textures on this artwork. You have this sort of rough, sort of brushy, sort of painterly leaves, and then you have this sort of soft flowy hair, and then you have this sort of like very lightly detailed skin on the face, and I just really like that. I think that it's kind of satisfying looking at this sort of different textures and different looks in each area. Now for the colours of this piece, I wanted to definitely keep it a sort of naturey feel, because this is a kid playing in a garden, so there's a lot of greens, and I wanted to sort of keep it like a green and then a sort of like a pinky orange colour palette. And I really like that because, one thing, green and orange are very, very different to each other. They stand out very well against each other. They're not completely complementary colours because, well, green is complementary to red, but I have a lot of pink and orange in there, which sort of is close to that sort of color palette. So I really like how those colors sort of pop against each other. And yeah, for the background, I tried to keep a lot of the stuff more yellowy sort of greens, because that sky is going to be yellow, and it's sort of going to put a bit of light onto those parts. And then as it sort of comes towards the foreground, it's more of a very slightly more bluey green, if that makes sense. Obviously not overly bluey, because I didn't want this to be, you know, really blue. I wanted sort of like simple colors in this. And yeah, I really like how I did that. And yeah, after I went over and did most of the details that I wanted, I actually went back over into the background and stuff like that and just added a few little things here and there. As you can see, there's sort of like these fruit things in the bush behind him. I don't know if they're peaches or if they're just some sort of random fruit thing, but yeah, they're in there. And I definitely tried to have it sort of like a peach, but although I didn't really use a reference on a peach, so I don't know if they look too much like peaches, so I'm just going to say random fruit thing. So yeah, and other than that, I added some flowers in the foreground, as well as some very, very small flowers in the sort of bushy, sort of ferny plants that they're sitting in. And overall, I think I am quite happy with this artwork. It has a different feel to my usual art, but it's a welcome change, and I really liked it. It was a little bit challenging at first, doing just one layer, but then I sort of just looked at it sort of in a more traditional art sort of sense, because you don't have layers much in traditional art, especially things like acrylic paint, which you can't really remove or erase. So sort of just tried to think of it a little bit like that, and that actually helped me keep going. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know below what you think about this art. I think it's cute. I like the story behind it, and I think the dog is very cute too. I like the sort of fuzzy look that he has going on. So yeah, if you like this sort of art challenge type of video, I do have a playlist full of different art challenges that I have tried in the past, so I'll definitely have a link in the description or on the screen or something for that, so that you can have a look and see what other weird challenges that I've done in the past. Some of them good, some of them a bit odd, but you know, that's alright. Oh, and if you have any suggestions for future art challenge videos, please comment them down below. I love finding out different sort of art challenges because sometimes you end up making something you're really proud of, like today. So here is the final results, and I'm so happy with it. I don't know, I just feel like this one's really bright and colorful and cute, and I don't know, it's just one of those artworks that make me pretty happy. So I'm going to say thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone!